Oh shit. Okay, need to get a different stylus. Okay, not well known, is it? But I dropped my classic stylus, and look at that. It's like exposed circuits and guts. It's messed up. I don't know what to do. It even feels like wonkier. It makes me sad. But in the meantime, I got used to some of the other styluses, and now it's okay. I've got a whole collection. Anytime you buy a Wacom device, they come with one. Come with styluses, so these are from various devices. This one came with this, and this one came with something else. I have a slim one. This is the classic. I try to keep the slim one in my backpack at all times. Anyway, it's normal for them to get jacked up over time, but let's dig in. We'll do a little bit of this, and then a little bit of work on some Zelda stuff. It's a Friday. Maybe we'll have a quiet chat or something. And we'll see. At least my microphone works today.
Welcome to Rivendell, Frodo Baggins.
Putting in these tiny details. They sort of serve as footnotes. Little trail markers. Clarifying guides. So that we don't lose our way. Making the figures in space feel more grounded. Twilight says, Max, hope you're well. I might jump in and out. Yeah, don't worry about it. We're casual. Hope your Friday's going well. This is yet another kind of Max is on standby on a job where they have they've deemed it necessary for me to not go, but not necessary for me to jump onto anything. How peculiar. But I've said my piece about that. That's what makes sense for their strategy. I'm in alignment. All the right terms. Find this one. Where's this guy? Yeah, I'm nearly at the stage where I actually name the layers. Not quite, though. I like to live dangerously by not naming my layers and then randomly deleting them because I assume that there's nothing important in them, and then it turns out I was wrong. I'm very pleased to report I had another commission inquiry today. I've had a few. They don't necessarily pan out. I'm okay with that. I don't need to sustain myself with commissions exactly just yet. But part of this is about seeing where's that natural demand level, how can I increase it? If possible, by increasing demand, can I try to use that to make pricing set at a sustainable level? Not to replace my day job, not yet. It's not needed yet. Hi, Namina. Yes, I'm having a good day. And you know, we could say this has been a productive week on this project. Did I kill him? What do you mean, did I kill him? What do you mean? Oh, it's back. What's back? I don't know what you're talking about. If I minor disconnect, this reminds me to turn off my Google Drive syncing and stuff like that. So far, it doesn't say I've dropped any frames, but there's always lots of crazy issues on my end. Tech wizards, yes. Oh, you missed my voice. I missed your texting via the chatting. It's a really cool piece you're working on. Is it a personal or a business piece? It's been a while since my streams. I've been trying to stream. I streamed last night. Oh, you missed my voice from last night. You know, I didn't even check the chat from last night. Last night was a bit of a, let's say that was a flow occurrence as well. But no joke, my microphone was just not working and hadn't been for a while. I just thought, like, you know, sometimes you sleep on something and then if you don't overreact, like the next day, like everything's back to normal. You're sort of like, okay, cool. Good thing I didn't overreact. But that microphone situation or setup had been worked for a while, and I've been a little frustrated by it because it even happened on like work situations where I couldn't connect on meetings. It's super frustrating, but I'll sort it out eventually. But truth be told, I probably draw faster without feeling like obligated to respond to chats, and so having a chat agnostic stream is not a bad thing necessarily. Every once in a while, especially yesterday, I got more done than I might have normally. Been a while since you caught my streams. Yeah, perhaps. I never know who's lurking, but I haven't seen you in the chat a while. No biggie. No biggie though. Hopefully you've been busy making art, making cool stuff. So this piece is a D&D party portrait commission for, I think it's nothing controversial to call him my best friend. Although I have, you know, every normal person should have several best friends. But since I've known this guy for well over, God, yeah, it's easier to count backwards. I've known him since I was 11, so 31 years. That's a long time to be friends. Long time. Here's a funny anecdote. Is the other day, because this is literally the friend that I think I mentioned it on stream, that he was coming into town to do a few things, and then and I was like, well, you gotta come stay with us. So he, his wife, his daughter, they shacked up with us in our spare bedroom, etc., in lieu of getting a hotel, and no, save a few bucks. Also, we crash at their place all the time when we visit, so happy to return the favor. Anyway, he came over, and he was there for a few days, so we were hanging out, and one of the nights, it was like a Saturday night, my wife actually had previously arranged plans to go out with friends to go to a concert, and so before the concert, it was like a bunch of friends meeting here to like have drinks before they took a cab over, as we do. And this wasn't something I was going to, but but you know, friends were flooding into the house from all angles, and I was like, okay, I know how to be a host. So I was, you know, pouring drinks and just making sure everybody's having a good time before they go and do their thing. And one of the friends whom I don't really know very well, though they know my wife and, you know, mutual friends, etc., etc. They were sort of politely yet impolitely assumed and asked the question that because they saw my friend sitting over in the corner, sort of just hanging out, and they're like, "Max, is that your dad?" Which was hilarious because my friend is bigger than me. He's you know, probably got a good 30-40 pounds conservatively, and then several inches at least in height, of course, you know. And maybe a little less hair on the head, big old beard, and whatever. Hanging out in a dark corner of the room. We don't resemble each other at all, but you know, he's sort of keeping a distance, you know, being a, you know, mysterious figure. And my dad is reputationally known to sort of be around at times, you know, especially if we've got like an event or company over. Our place is a open house on pretty much any major holiday, as you do. So anyway, that was funny. That made everybody laugh. Anyway, happy to help out my buddy by doing this is a roundabout way of saying he's into Dungeons & Dragons, which never really played, but you know, we all love the vibe, the aesthetic, pop culture phenomenon that is Dungeons & Dragons. And so these characters represent the characters in their party, all sorts of different, you know, I guess no humans allowed. Everybody has to have elf ears. Elf druid, dragonborn person, elf assassin, elf wizard. But they kind of made it easy by having a group, there's some sort of app called Hero Forge where you can do interesting these are so like this person it's like same, right? So like, how cool is this? You can make your own, and this is like, it's free to create, but like it'll cost money to like print it out and ship it. Probably a good business model. I definitely know that these guys took advantage and made their own characters. And good for them. Do they sell the STL files, perhaps? I'm sure they do. Now, I don't have an account. What would it be? Ooh, look at all these cool things. Like, this is obviously like a... this is interesting to me. You can change the pose by, like... I didn't know you could really do this, but you can. You can totally, like, click on the torso and, like, twist it. You know, and it's just a representative of your character. But if you wanted to have different kinds of poses that you paid for to print it out, Kit Bash, look at all this stuff. Add everything everywhere. What a cool world we live in. I mean, it's the march of progress. This is very convenient, I think, for... And they were able to share it with me without any issues. Purchase digital gift card, share your hero, settings, bug report. I don't know if you can download STL, but I assume that is some sort of a... like a MakerBot or 3D printing. Then you can design it, and then you have equipment, print it yourself. Yes, my friend actually has a 3D printing kit, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the option. Easy enough option. So I think that is sort of the business model, but I'm only guessing. That's what I would do if I ran the zoo. Okay, that feels good. Okay, we can save that. What is this person's name? That's a thumbnail I did on another one. Here's the Ganon stuff I did from last night. This was just open. It's kind of cool to see. Fucking pissed. It's kind of neat to see the texture. Anyway, so this is the stuff I did last night. Look at this guy. It's like you're either hard no or hard yes to that one. Sort of acquired taste. Weird. Charismatic bad guy. Made it happen. You like it? Yeah, it's been well received. Via, like, you know, I post on Instagram or something. People are like, smash! Which is hilarious. I mean, I get it. It's sort of Nintendo making a... accidentally or on purpose turned Ganon into a sex symbol. And it was like, from my era, which is like Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. I guess like this is like the Ocarina of Time Ganon. But like, not really the way I drew him. This guy is like, he's got Riz. This guy's got Riz. The other one is like low poly goofiness. Just interesting. It's the power of a sketch to, you know, the stuff gets fueled by your own imagination, and then you end up self-outing yourself, you know, self-reporting. Anyway, it was a fun exercise, and glad it was worth the time. Okay, we'll close out from that. It's already been saved many times. What I wanted to show was the in an attempt to be educational about it. Let's see here. Okay, so I wonder if I can just sort of do a side by side. Right? Because these are the same image. And what I did... Here, I'll make my head go away. Go away. So same image, but on the one on the left, I added those little, sort of like the effect of like underscoring or accenting somewhat the, instances of overlap. This is kind of one-to-one. Anyway, compared to this one feels more concrete. Feels more grounded. And like as an artist who has to work on it, it feels much clearer. It's as if there are clear trail markers or a like landing lights on an airport. Just a little bit of context that helps fuel. Like over here, there's just on the right, there's just still too much ambiguity. You know, on the left, more decisions have been made, and there's less room for error making. So that's why we go and we do that. It's not just aesthetics. It's a little bit of a piece of home. A lot of what I'm going to do is going to cancel. Like, I'm going to theoretically, in much of this, paint out all the marks I just made, but I'll do so with confidence because I'll be more confident. thanks to those things. Okay. So we save that. And now we can put that away. Let's do some... I have... Okay, so... Elephant in the room. I haven't seen Sexter in the chat, but here's the news. I saw this on Reddit first just today. And not everybody... Oh, what is this? Oh, we better just watch this.
So,
Let's see here. Let me pause my music. Because what is this? I don't know what this is. I know what this is. It's about the Zelda movie. They've got a release date announced, or a release span, or kind of like... God, I have way too much hair right now. Let's see what this says. There we go. Let's see.
Nintendo weren't kidding when they said that they'd be posting news updates to their Nintendo Today app. They just dropped the release date for the Zelda movie out of the blue, the 26th of March 2027. Maybe I'm...
March 26th, 2027. Okay, so 2 years from now. Interesting. So no, I haven't seen any kind of a trailer. I'll talk more about this at length soon. I like the Mario movie, but I hope the Zelda movie is better. The consensus right now is that people have very high hopes and very low expectations, unfortunately. So that's a difficult... that's a hard vector. Hey, Danny. I'm good. Let's sort of see what this says. This says this thing is 10 minutes. I don't know if I want to watch the whole 10 minutes, but let's see what it says.
Just used to long waits as a Zelda fan, but this is actually a lot sooner than I expected.
Yeah,
and it means
sooner.
that we'll start to hear more news about this film really soon, like casting choices and eventually trailers. I don't expect to see anything in the upcoming Switch 2 Direct next week, which I'd imagine would be exclusively about the system, its features, and its game.
So, like, if something is this almost feels like I missed my chance. Yeah, because it's like 2 years from. I know it's sort of like feels like 2 years is plenty of time to make a movie, but from my perspective, if they, let's say they were storyboarding it today and releasing it 2 years from now, that would be a rushed production, in my opinion. That's in my opinion. This is one of those, like the Mario movie would have been in production for probably like 4 years. And I know they announced the Zelda movie a couple of years ago. So yeah, it's been like pre-production and stuff like that. But this is tricky for me to, I don't know, I get a little bit anxious from it. Yet, despite my anxiety, despite my anxiety, I think we have to. Hey, Sextra, we're watching your link. Yeah, little pun there. Here, let's play. But essentially, a lot of this project was sort of born out of the anxiety of. Don't worry, you'll like the video. All right, let me press play. It's 10 minutes long. Should I watch all 10 minutes, or is it like, you let me know.
Games. But outside of that, it's now open season. I'd expect to see Zelda movie news dropped in upcoming Nintendo Directs, and, it seems, through the Nintendo Today app. So, with the knowledge that we'll be seeing this thing in
Okay,
less
we'll
than
watch a couple
2
more
years,
minutes.
Let's run through everything we currently know for sure about the Zelda movie. The original announcement of the Zelda movie was back in November of 2023. Zelda series
when I started
creator
streaming,
and
by the way.
Nintendo legend Shigeru Miyamoto explained that the film will be produced by himself and Avi Arad, the producer behind projects like most of the recent Spider-Man films. It'll be financed mainly by Nintendo, but also by Sony, who will handle the distribution. Despite these collaborations, it seems that Nintendo, through Miyamoto, will keep tight control of the film's production. An interview with Sony Pictures chairman Tom Rothman clarified that the movie is being developed and made in the closest possible collaboration with Shigeru Miyamoto. He's a true genius in that world, and it's really his strong vision that is motivating it. He created it and understands it thoroughly. You only have to look at the results of Super Mario Bros. To see. The film will be directed by Wes Ball, the man behind the recent Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the Maze Runner trilogy of films. Wes Ball has dreamed of bringing Hyrule to the big screen for at least 15 years. Back in 2010, he tweeted, "Since I could never even hope to have the chance to direct it, the next big mocap Avatar-like movie should be The Legend of Zelda." So it doesn't seem like a totally wild pick. Wes Ball clearly has passion for the series. In an interview with The Direct,
I
he
hope
said
that bodes well.
Legend of Zelda, to me, is one of the most important things ever in my life. You know, next to Star Wars. I've played Legend of Zelda throughout my childhood into my adulthood. I'm a fan. I'm a fellow fan. I will go to the
I'm glad he's a
ends of the
fan.
earth to make sure that this is the movie we all hope it will be. And in a different interview with Comic Book, Wes Ball said that, "I grew up on playing that game since I was a kid. You know, it's super important to me. I mean, that transported me to worlds that occupy my imagination forever. It's part of my DNA. So I'm a giant fan." And when talking to Entertainment Weekly, he explained, "It's going to be awesome. My whole life has led up to this moment. I grew up on Zelda, and it
So
is
much
the
at
most
stake.
important property, I think, that's untapped IP. So we very much are working hard to do something. We're not just trying to do it because we can. We want to make something really special. So I'm personally excited to see what Wes Ball cooks up. It does seem like the Zelda series is genuinely really important to him, and has been since at least 2010. It does seem that the Zelda movie is
Zaddy
in the
Ganon.
hands of an actual Zelda fan, someone who understands what the series is and why it resonates with so many people. However, one decision has left the Zelda community quite divided. The Zelda movie will be live action. Featuring real-life actors. For years, many Zelda fans expressed the desire to see an animated Zelda movie, something in the style of Miyazaki's Studio Ghibli.
Yes, it's
for
that's
example.
part of
But
the
no, it's live action. We'll be seeing real actors portray.
So when I started doing the Zelda art, no, it was not coincidental that this was something where I started doing this at the exact same time they announced it. I did it like in response to this announcement. I had been considering like doing streaming or doing something that felt like it was a departure from storyboarding, at least in my mainstream work since for a while, maybe since early 2023. But in late 2023, it looked like it was going to become a necessity and that I needed to accelerate. So I did start. But then what would be the subject matter when, and because I'm anxious and I feel like everything I do is cringe, I feel like I had to have standing to, and that means that it's like I'm positioned in a way where I'd have justification if pressed, like, well, how do we know you're a real fan? I'd be like, well, I'm a real fan of Zelda. I am. I just haven't played a lot of the more recent games, but old school stuff, there is no doubt. Okay, so that said, the live action stuff, I think, admittedly, gives everybody pause because this is a you're sort of taking away. I think it's like if something exists in everybody's imaginations, then we can all sort of agree that we like it because, like, we have a general sense of how other people might imagine something to be, even though if like the specifics are very different. It's like how religion works, where it's like, oh, well, I have a relationship with God. And it's like, oh, I do too. And it's like, I imagine your relationship is the same as mine. And it's like, not, but we just imagine that it is. And then we all get along, right? Until we don't. But that's aside from the point. The, probably an apt analogy though, because Zelda, for some, their zeal for it is a certain, it's akin to religiosity. And this is why this is a little tricky. There was nothing wrong. Like Mario sort of proceeds through the years, mostly basically essentially being the same, different tech, different kinds of scenarios or whatever. But it's like Mario is Mario. They don't change Mario. Mickey Mouse as a character has evolved far more over time. Mario stays the same. Zelda changes, but it's sort of like sort of justified as like this sort of reincarnation of the same story, which is fascinating. It's great. People love it, buy it. I don't love when they talk about like, oh, different universes or timelines, and I was like, okay, I hate that shit, but okay. But I think people are just worried because knowing that movie studios need to make money, and the way that they seem to like to make money is to like the Marvelization, the Disney multiversification type of It's like, well, we need this to be a blockbuster. What's the best blockbuster we can imagine? Avengers Endgame. So they just take Link and then make it Avengers Endgame, you know? I literally saw on Reddit today, because this is like, I posted my art, the Ganon art, on Reddit today, and like people are ignoring it. They're just talking about the movie announcement, and they're fucking freaked out. They're freaked out because it's like the top comment was like, calling the casting now, Link will be Chris Pratt, Anna Taylor-Joy or whatever, you know, that chick for Zelda, and Jack Black for Ganon. And it's like, first off, no thank you, but also probably that's what they would try to do, you know, if they thought they could get away with it. Fans would explode and riot if that was announced. So hopefully they know better. Wes Ball seems sincere, and I look at that. I saw from the video. I imagine he's my age, and therefore, it's entirely possible he has a plan. He has a plan. That doesn't mean, I know better than to say that directors get full control creatively about projects. They often don't. That would be the exception rather than the rule. You have to be like James Cameron or Steven Spielberg to pull something like that off. It would be my guess. And I haven't seen his other films. I haven't seen Maze Runner or what was the other one. But let's see here. What do we say? Live action, fantastical, or yeah. So what I'm worried is that there's just a handling issue, and of course there's story issues now, which is interesting because it's like Zelda has a story. There's a princess, a hero, a villain, a kingdom, wide range of cast of characters to pull from, and yet there are some issues that and it's sort of early on in my streams, I talk about this sort of stuff where I'm like, well, the way I would do Link, if it was up to me, was I would make him mute so that they didn't, so that there was, like, people don't want, like, and people on Reddit are typing it, they're like, we don't want Link quipping one-liners the way he did in the, yeah, Vale has mentioned they're concerned about Link talking. Agreed. I had an idea, and this was sort of like a sort of prologue to the story is like, there could be like, it's a little kid. We don't know it's Link. They don't call him Link. We never really know what Link's name is. People end up calling him Link because, that's, he doesn't know, he can't talk, or he doesn't talk, and he doesn't tell people what his name is. They just end up calling him Link for whatever reason. But little kid Link is like in a village, and like he can't shut up. He's just, like a little kid that's constantly talking about whatever. And he's like running around, and he's like catching bugs in his net. He's just like passionate about running around the forest and exploring and like catching bugs in his net and like trapping them in bottles or whatever. And he can't wait to like go home and show his bugs, to, I don't know, his older sister or something. I'm trying to think of all these things. And then like he could, it's like setting it up. It's like a high note. And then like all of a sudden tone shifts. It's like raiders are coming in. There's invaders from a foreign land, and, or it's like the king's troops or something like that. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be bad guys necessarily, like bad guys. It could be bad good guys, for whatever reason. Anyway, Link is put into a position where his family has to hide, and he is like, it's kind of like in that Inglourious Bastards movie where in the beginning, like they're like hiding under the house or something like. Anyway, small Link is small enough to hide in like a very small place, but he has to like promise his sister that he'll be quiet, you know, so that they can have a chance to like hide and escape. And that's the last thing he does before like she gets found and like they haul her off and like execute her. And like he sees it happen like between like the floorboard, you know. So he's traumatized essentially as a child and has to like run away into the woods and become like a wild warrior on his own or whatever. But that's how Link is sort of established. That's how I would do it. Like if you needed to, in a way where he didn't have a you needed to justify him not talking. And it doesn't have to be that he's mute. Like in the movie Mad Max, for instance, he has like 3 lines. He never talks. He's crazy. You don't need him to talk. You just need him to kick ass. And it doesn't mean he's dumb. It means, you know, he's just sort of, you know, it's just different. You know, it's sort of like a different character like that. I think that would work well for that, in my opinion. But it's like, yeah, you have to, you can do, so it's like, I'm like, what I'm doing is I'm asserting that like, if you handle this in a certain way, you can set it up where people can be okay with, you know, him not talking. And I think if you can avoid him not talking, you can avoid him saying cheesy things and one-liners. And if you can avoid him saying cheesy things and one-liners, I think there's a shot. Also, you just don't cast a known person, because if this is my thing. It's like, and this is why it is extremely potentially upsetting. Is like a movie studio wants to have big names attached to stuff. They just do. So they're gonna want I know Kevin Spacey got canceled, but you could do like, let's make Kevin Spacey Ganon or Gene Hackman Ganon. You know, Gene Hackman's dead and Kevin Spacey's canceled. But the like, who else would it be? It's like, you know what, they'll probably make it Will Smith, you know, or something like that. And you just don't want this stuff. Good actor, bad actor, I don't want to have preconceived notions about like this person being right or wrong for the role. I'd rather see a complete newcomer. It'd be very rare. The Rock as Zelda. Yeah, Zeldo. The Rock is Ganon, you know. So you just recognize, like, you know, that the temptation for a studio that wants to make. Okay, if we're Stasis says, if we're speaking of the new Zelda movie, yes, we are. I'm so used to bad movie adaptations that I've become immune. I'm excited no matter how badly they mess it up. So I've churned it over a bit in my head. I've been doing this for like 2 years straight now. Which is like the whole content of this stream is like thinking about it and just being okay with it. But if it can be successful if it's properly managed, and hopefully I have hope. But I cannot control what goes on there. Here's what I can control is like, here's my sphere of influence is, you know, this stream and the art I can make, and the audience and the network that I'm trying to, sort of plant seeds with. But now we're running out of time, but we have about 40 minutes where I can work on that, the Moblin Madness piece. Once I get that done, I have about 12 solid color pieces that are essentially ready to put in a portfolio and send out. And I have an agent that can send it to West Ball, and theoretically, and if it resonates and they hit me up and they can convince me that it's not going to be all for nothing. This is the other thing. It's like, even if they said, Max, we'll hire you to storyboard all of Zelda from scratch starting tomorrow, but you have to listen to all of our notes and you have to change things that we don't want to change, that you won't want to change, and we're going to make you do things like draw Jack Black as Ganon. And I would just be like, I can't do that, and I'm going to have a problem with that. So, you know, it's like I am going to shoot my shot. My expectations are 0, turning that down. But this is an opportunity, nonetheless, for me to, in between here and the release date, there will be an ever sort of increasing ramping up until that release of interest in information about the movie. So right now we have nothing to go on as far as like visual, like who's the casting, who's this, who's that. It's like, we don't have anything. We don't even have concept art, We've got plenty of fan art. Does any of it look like concept art? And it's like, at that point, that's like that'll be my little wedge right there, is like people who are looking for Zelda art that sparks the imagination and looks cinematic. That might have that might represent a intersection of opportunity. And then, and I'm also a little bit relieved that, okay, so 2 years, it's supposed to be released. At that point, like, cat's out of the bag, and I don't need to sort of be like, I'm going to keep drawing Zelda art until they release the movie. It's like, okay, they're going to release it in 2 years. I've been doing this about a year and a half. So let's not. So it's not going to be a life sentence for me to keep doing Zelda stuff. And in between then, I'll start doing other stuff as well. It's just primarily this was sort of formulated to be sort of I have an idea that from this day on until the movie is released, there will be a increasing amount of attention paid to creative Zelda content, and I can possibly position myself in that in a way that is separate from my day job / career, like my official career, which is under threat of fire from AI and industry downturns. In between this, I can sort of see what I can do to leverage popular interests and social networking in my talent and contributions to fandoms, that sort of thing. And yet Taylor Joy Zelda, yeah. So let's see. Let's back up in this chat. Let's see here. If it's anything like IGN April Fool's Zelda movie trailer from 2008, I wouldn't even be mad. I'm not even sure if I saw that. The Rock is Zelda from Echoes of Wisdom would work great, of course. Yeah, Anya Taylor Joy is Zelda. Yep, call that. We need to illustrate these Zelda NFTs. Yes. So, like, that would be a good example of something I wouldn't want to do. But Nintendo NFTs, they're Nintendo, to their credit, Nintendo has like said we don't want anything to do with AI, and we don't want anything to do with like that shit. Like, that shit is dishonorable, which I love them for, which is great. Once any trailer or concept art comes out, I can see fan artists doing their own renditions. So this is sort of me, sort of like in a sort of training sort of stage, getting ahead of that. There are going to be people who, in fact, what I've been doing for the last 12 months, other people today are probably sort of being like, I should try some speculative Zelda art, So in some ways, I'm like, I've sort of got ahead. If I think about it, if I were to like credit myself for thinking ahead, it's sort of like this was sort of the plan. So good. And other people being interested in this stuff and producing art themselves can also help me. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is just my thing. It's like a hypothesis. It's like, can I predict where an audience for certain types of Zelda fan art will be? I know Nintendo is going to have a tight fucking clampdown on Zelda production art, Zelda concept art. Like, that stuff isn't going to be released by Nintendo. We'll be lucky if we get a trailer within a year. Very lucky if there's anything. If we have casting within a year, I'd be very surprised. In the meanwhile, the anxiety of the Zelda fans will be ramping up. And that's not just speculation. Like, it's my anxiety. I have anxiety about it. And, I'm just an old man. So figuring out other people having the same reaction makes sense. So I think people will be sort of anxious, and then if they see cinematic or slightly realistic-ish, concept arty-ish, the stuff that I've been working on is it sort of like, okay, this feels like Zelda not as a cartoon, but as something that is meant to be more real, can work. So maybe there's a shot. And we'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. So, all right, let's scroll a little bit. My agent can help you with that. So my agent isn't like the president of Hollywood, you know. She's unlike me, it's her whole job is to like shake trees and, you know, turn over stones and be shameless about like, yo, I've got the world's best artist that wants to work on your project. You know, here's his stuff. You know, I'd be like, excuse me, sir, if you don't mind, maybe you could look at my little tiny project, and, you know, if you like and you don't like, and if you want to spit in my face, it's okay too. You know, she would be like, you know, yo, you'd be lucky to get this guy. He's booked all the time. He's not available for it, but, you know, thought I'd do you a favor. You know, it's something like that. You know, she's very, I'm more jaded and whatever about it. I've seen too many fails to lose sleep over it. Very true. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, no, I'm also, you know, I think we become cynical. Jaded is also like the correct term. But it's a way of like protecting our own feelings about this stuff. It's like, yep. Can't let myself get too hyped because of the disappointment. It's like if you know that it's going to be, I don't know. I don't want to get too dark, but I personally, if I really, really, really want something to happen, I kind of pretend like it can't happen. I get used to that feeling, so that if it doesn't happen, my feelings aren't destroyed. My precious widow feelings, you know. You did the cats on the wall. Yes, these are portraits of my, they're deceased now, my poor cats, but they are, you know, portraits of these were our first children. Emily and Hugh were, as royalty in our home. So anyway, okay, let's watch one more minute and then I'll
iconic characters
work
like
very.
Link and Princess
If you have no
Zelda.
expectations, you'll always
Regarding the
win.
choice to go
you know?
for live action, Wes Ball noted that the Zelda movie would be this awesome fantasy adventure movie that isn't like Lord of the Rings, it's its own thing. I've always said I would love to see a live-action Miyazaki. That wonder and whimsy that he brings to things. I'd love to see something like that. It'll be a difficult line to tread.
All right, we're going to have to... Sextra did say about halfway you get the point, so let's hope that's the case. And we're going to bring it back. So this is like my whole spiel was I would get at least 12 pieces. I have 24 concepts that I want to create in terms of like pieces, but if I can get 12 together, that feels like a very solid portfolio. And so that's what we'll do. We'll do some of this. We remember Moblin Madness. Video just goes on about how Wes is probably going to do whatever he can to make sure the film is good. Right now I don't. He's saying all the right things. I haven't seen his films, and I don't. I'm not so jaded that I doubt his sincerity of intent. It's just the tendency of modern day Hollywood to fuck things up so bad. It's just so bad. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I might check out some of his other films. The Mario movie wasn't too bad. No, I consider the Mario movie to be a great example of how to do it right. Felt very modern, felt very Mario, felt very, I didn't even mind like Chris Pratt's Mario stuff. Like that all felt fine. I saw it twice, once in the actual theaters with my kids. They liked it. We saw it again at home. Still liked it. It was good. I like story stuff where they do, yeah, he did a good job. I thought he did a good job. Or, I also really liked the thing where he was like, he didn't like, oh, hey Talbot, he didn't, where like Mario hated mushrooms. And then like later on he has to eat mushrooms, you know? And it's just like, I like stuff like that where it's like in the beginning you set up something that has to like, they have to come across and deal with later, you know? That felt, you know, it looks like he didn't want to be a hero. You know, it's, they did a good job. They did a good job. What I don't like about movies, and that movie did suffer from, was they had like, it ended, and then it's like, oh, it didn't quite end because Bowser is back and he's going to do something else and it's even more and the stakes are even higher. And then it's like, then it ended and then it's back again. And it's like, now you really got to kill Bowser. And it's just like, dude, I didn't need to see you defeat Bowser 3 times. Just sort of make it count like once. Okay. That's all you really have to do. You don't have to escalate 1,000 times. But I guess they did. But yeah, this is probably about 20 minutes too long in my opinion. Bowser must die / Princess Peach. Games be like that though. Yeah. Anyway, Talbot, we were just chatting about the Zelda movie being announced 2 years from now. So I got 2 years to somehow get on. How do we do this? How do we how do I force my way onto? Let's do this one. They're gonna fuck it up. They always fuck it up. That's the consensus online, and the only that's it. The only way they're not gonna fuck it up is if they hire me to fix everything. All right, let's switch this over before I forget. So. Anyway, not that I'm not gonna, you know, they wouldn't listen to me in any way, but we're gonna advance the ball slightly on this. We got 20 minutes before my wife will be home with the kids, so. Mario could have been a lot worse. You know what's funny is, I actually want to go back and watch the original Mario movie. I know it's sort of cringe, but that era where you have it was a sort of like what was bad about that movie was it sort of had this conceit that video games are stupid, right? Video games are for kids, so let's make this for adults. And as a result, they like probably everything people love about Mario was cast aside and they just made it like a real sort of movie, which was sort of like, well, this isn't for Mario fans. But actually, if you watch it, you'll be like, this is pretty good cyberpunk, actually. Dystopian, like, future, like, sci-fi stuff. It's not that bad. So it's like, this is a better Philip K. Dick type film. It was sort of like Mario meets Total Recall, you know? It's a huge IP. I want it to be successful because while I won't get cast on the Zelda film, let's just put that at like a 0.1% chance. What I might do is find work in the spin-off derivatives. So, you know, they're gonna be like, cool, that kicked ass. Let's make our version of, like, what would it be? Disney says, let's make our version of Zelda. You know, ooh, here's a guy who has all this cool concept art, you know. So Zelda the movie, the game, hell yeah. That was like they did that with Street Fighter. Do you guys know that? They made a Street Fighter movie, like live action movie. Gosh, maybe this is the cautionary tale. They made the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Oh, 1994. It was such a crazy year for films. I've talked about how I want to do like Street Fighter fan art. Definitely flawed. However, Kylie Minogue as Cammy, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. It was partly horribly cast and partly genius cast. I guess I think history is kinder to it than people at the time. All right, do Chung-Li. I will do Chung-Li. Bye bye, you goof. Okay. All right. Damn, we got to get something done. Here we go. Look at all these layers. So much stuff. Oh man, it's been forever since I colored anything. I don't remember how to do this. What is that? Yeah, it looks really overwhelming. I sort of feel silly about it, but I've learned a lot about what is sort of more important. Here's the good news is like I can do the coloring stuff like in my sleep. So, and I guess let me put it this way. I hope it might be the case that people will forgive me if I work on some of this stuff off stream, because I can just cover more ground faster that way. I'm still going to be streaming as regularly as possible. That's sort of the point. But it is a you know, as it is right now, I tend to only stream if I know I can do it for at least like an hour. But the truth is like there are pockets of time, well more than an hour in my day, that happen regularly. But because I try to be transparent, do everything on stream so we can see the progress, it's I'm sort of holding myself back unnecessarily from making rep. Here's the thing is like they've announced the movie. That means there's like the clock is ticking on their end to actually have something to show for it in 2 years. And so if I'm working at my slow pace, how can it go that I can interject myself into their production if I'm only doing this at a very small clip? And anyway, we know at this point that I'm doing everything from scratch and doing it the hard way and as sincerely and honestly as possible. So but like compared to yesterday, I did a stream. I honestly don't. I'm not gonna. I won't be happy with myself if I if I don't try, I'll be like, I should have tried. I always should have tried. Why didn't I try? You know? So it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try. But I've learned to prefer what I'm doing right now. And at least in terms of like what is personally helpful to me, like my psyche, what is like healing for my brain and feels like I'm building to something for myself and other people. It feels like this is what I want. And it's fun, and it's interesting. It's an unexpected side effect of this fun road I've traveled with everybody. But yeah, it's not obvious anymore to me that success is having a place on the Zelda movie. That's not what I think anymore. Success now is... Because it's like, let's say I get staffed on the Zelda movie. Let's say that. Where am I with that? Well, I'm back to being a behind-the-scenes artist. That's already what I'm doing. And it's like, anything that I do on that movie, I wouldn't be able to show you guys. It'd be property of Sony. I do my best work every day, and we know where it goes. It goes right in the trash because people can't make up their minds. You know, and again, I'm being a little cynical about it, but there's some truth to it where you know, maybe be careful what you wish for a little bit, right? Let's see here. They could be looking for concept from other people, and they can look at your art and social media. Yeah, I think so. I think it's possible. Like the, it's certainly. I know. So you guys know that they made like a Metroid TV show. Like it was a cartoon. Yeah. They did. Pretty sure they did. Or is it a movie? Metroid movie? Is this for real? Oh, it's a concept. Maybe it wasn't Metroid, but everybody's like, they did? Maybe I should check my sources, but there was some sort of... Maybe it wasn't Metroid, but... Are artists able to publish their own used concept art, or are they no property of the company? If so many just end up trashed, it sounds sad. I'm afraid to tell you that the worst case scenario in your mind is absolutely true. Yeah. There is untold libraries worth of art and concept art. Just think about every movie. Like Disney produces so much, like just think of in terms of like Disney, like they make, it takes like 8 years to make a movie at Disney, but like they will have all sorts of movies in pre-development that they only live in the infancy. So it's like the what gets sort of like developed versus what gets actually like greenlit and made is like best case scenario, it's like 3-1. So for like every, think of how many like alternative brilliant films are out there that just never got made. It's countless movies. It is. It's sort of horrible. And what makes a movie get made or not is up to like some like cigars. It's up to. It's like literally think of the worst Hollywood personalities, like literally Harvey Weinstein type guys, like smoking a cigar, just being utterly repulsive troll terribleness. At best, and then what they do when they're at their worst. So it's like these people are deciding what gets greenlit. It's like, oh my god. So we're lucky that like, despite all that, they do that. Like movies do get made, but why and what gets made is it's sort of like it doesn't go before a jury of your peers. It's up to some weirdo. They're like, do I want to make a movie or do I want to go to, go on vacation? I'd rather go on vacation. Cancel the movie, Do I want to give up my bonus, or do I want to pay everybody and keep my studio open? Ooh, I'd rather have my bonus. So close the studio and give me my money, and everybody can be homeless. And it's like that's what's happening in the world right now as far as entertainment. That's why I unfortunately have. For better or for worse. I mean, it's sort of like what gave birth to this project. It's like people, because of like NFTs getting invaded, but essentially like crypto bros and NFTs and tech companies invaded entertainment spaces with speculative money and a sort of move fast, break things, streaming model. And the line went up until it stopped going up. And then they're like, shoot, it stopped going up. Now we actually have to make money the old-fashioned way. How do we do that? And we're like, everybody's like, we don't remember. We don't remember how we used to do stuff. We used to take risks. We used to believe in artists. We used to believe in ideas. We used to believe in audiences. There was trust and faith, and it was a different world. Now it's all very, it's like this now. It's like if a movie isn't exciting within the first 3 minutes, they just sort of assume no one's going to watch it. Very hard to, make a film now, probably the way they used to. I mean, there's exceptions. I'm sure Christopher Nolan's working on something cool. Not that he would be a good example of someone who could make a movie the way he wants to, because he's got that juice now, right? But I wouldn't want him making a Zelda movie. Would that be good? I don't know. Disney execs have so much talented artists and writers, but somehow chooses the most chat GPT script ever. Yeah, exactly. I think tonight I'm gonna watch Street Fighter. I think I need to watch it. Galaxy Crest, excellent, excellent film. Maybe it's like, could they do Sam Rockwell as Ganon? Like, that guy can act. I like that guy. It's not overplayed. I mean, like, he's not buff enough, you know, or you know, whatever, but sort of like, I don't know. That guy's good. I want unconventional choices, maybe. Something surprise me. Make me go, ah, instead of, ugh. But when I sit down and I want to watch a film, it's almost never a new movie. It's always like something in the 80s and 90s, because that's sort of my jam now, is in the 80s and 90s, like before CG like took over and injected itself into everything, they really used to try to... Kevin James is the great Deku Tree. Is that sort of comedian guy? Yeah, King of Queens, yeah. Oh my gosh. I know, it's like I'm making the tiniest little bit of detail changes on these. It's like I can barely tell the difference, but it will pay off. So when I stop the stream, which will be like in 2 minutes, I'm going to keep working on this. And then the next time we come back to this, I'm going to be adding the different light sources, because there's 2 other light sources. There's the sort of green filtered light coming through the canopy that needs to hit the top. And then there's going to be a break in the canopy where sunlight is streaming down and like hitting through some brightness, right? And we'll see stuff like this. You know. This is just super quick, but like a little concept, you know. So it's like the whole thing will come alive once the oh, I see something I need to fix. Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, there will be something that really feels like it was justified, like all the patience will be justified. Yeah, but it's not gonna happen now. Okay, let me back off. Let me turn that off. Turn that off. All right. Okay, this was fun. Sextra, thanks for the link. The link to the Link movie, and then I'm glad we squeezed in a good little chat. This is a busy weekend for me. I will not be streaming for a couple of days. Apologies. But had a good show this weekend, or this week. Given how busy last week was, this week felt we came back. I do unfortunately have to take a good bout of work, and we're. This is let's call this phase 2. This is where we're not in the soft launch anymore. This is the real stuff. This is yes. This piece is on speed mode, so I will not necessarily stream every darn inch of it, but we know it'll be good. Okay, till next time. Adios.